My name is Jason Smith, and I'm a 29-year-old bachelor. I work as a researcher at a major pharmaceutical company. I graduated from a renowned national university's pharmacy department and landed the job I've always wanted, earning more than enough salary and bonuses. I live in a luxurious apartment perfect for a single person, and I'm blessed with great friends. My job is both rewarding and enjoyable. Now, hearing all this, most people would think, how enviable. But in reality, I don't have parents. When I was a baby, they were involved in a traffic accident, and only I survived. I had no relatives or grandparents, so I was raised in an orphanage. The staff were kind, and there were many children with similar backgrounds, so I never felt lonely. But I can't say I was in a privileged environment. I had 3 meals a day, a roof over my head, and received compulsory education. I was truly grateful for these basics. But it was hard not being able to study to my fullest potential. Kids raised in orphanages were expected to become independent at 18, so the idea of going to college seemed like an impossible dream. I loved studying, and this was the most painful thing for me. Then a person named Mr. Longlegs came to my rescue. I didn't know who he was or where he was from. He was someone who regularly donated to the orphanage I was in. Knowing that I had excellent grades in both middle school and high school, he provided full financial support for my college fees and living expenses. When I was in my 3rd year of high school, the head of the orphanage told me about this. I remember pinching my cheek many times, thinking, this must be a dream. However, there were conditions. You must regularly report your grades. Depending on the content, the assistance may be terminated, so please do your best. Also, never try to find out who Mr. Longlegs is. I always wanted to thank that person, and I was a bit unsatisfied with the conditions, but I accepted them. I believed that graduating at the top of my class would be the best way to repay the favor, so I focused on my studies. As a result, I graduated as the valedictorian and got a job at the company I had always hoped to join, and now I'm living the life I've always wanted. However, to this day, I still don't know who Mr. Longlegs is. At the very least, I think the best I can do is develop medications to help those suffering from illnesses, so I work hard every day. Then one day I was called into the president's office. I was nervous, thinking I might have made a mistake at work, but when I went to the president's office, I was told something completely unexpected.
Jason, do you have a girlfriend?
Huh? No, I don't.
I see. Would you be interested in an arranged date with a young lady I know?
Excuse me? The president said that the daughter of a medical equipment manufacturer he's acquainted with wanted to see me. I had never met this heiress before. Why me? Could it be a case of mistaken identity? But then the president said,
I'd like you to hear the details from her directly. Could you please do this as a favor to me?
I couldn't refuse after he said that. Plus, I was a bit curious. Why would a woman I've never met want to go on an arranged date with me? When I agreed, the president told me the date and location. He told me not to think too much about it, but after all, she is the heiress of a major medical equipment manufacturer. I decided at the very least to dress properly before leaving the president's office. On the day of the meeting, I walked through the revolving doors of a prestigious hotel and headed to the designated tea room. After giving my name, I was shown to my seat. The other party was already there. It was my matchmaking partner, Mia, and President Mr. Thompson.
I'm sorry for keeping you waiting.
No worries, we just arrived a moment ago.
I believe it's customary to arrive a bit early for such occasions."
Mia responded with a smile, while Mr. Thompson had a stern expression. I understood right away. Mr. Thompson wasn't enthusiastic about this matchmaking. Wondering what to do next, I took my seat. After a brief introduction from both sides, we began with harmless small talk. Mia had an air of elegance typical of ladies from good families, but she was down to earth, cheerful, and had a lovely, infectious laugh. Her father, Mr. Thompson, didn't hide his apparent displeasure, and occasionally Mia would send apologetic glances my way.
What a wonderful woman!
About an hour into our conversation, I was completely smitten by Mia. However, I felt that she was out of my league. I thought there must have been some mistake for us to be meeting, and this made me a bit sad.
Why did you want to meet me? We've never met before, have we?
I asked her something I had been wondering about for a while. Before Mia could speak, Mr. Thompson began.
I've heard you grew up in an orphanage, yet turned out quite exceptional. I was just curious.
There was a condescending tone in his words. I was irritated, but held back.
I used to think that no good could come from someone raised in such a place, yet you seem to be the exception. I heard you graduated from a university with excellent grades. Well, thanks to someone's charity, I suppose.
Dad, that's rude. Mia grabbed her father's arm. What's his problem? If he dislikes the idea so much, why even have this meeting? I didn't ask for this, so why am I being treated this way?
Indeed, as you said, I grew up in an orphanage. I made it to university because someone I never met helped me. But not once have I ever been ashamed of that. Aren't you embarrassed to live off charity? You have quite the nerve.
Dad! A tense silence filled the room. I wanted to hold back for Mia's sake, but his next words pushed me over the edge.
Are all orphans as shameless as you?
The one who is shameless here is you. Mr. Thompson and I locked eyes. As I mentally apologized to Mia, I continued, with images of everyone I grew up with flooding my mind.
Kids raised in orphanages have their own stories. It's true that they can't survive without the generosity of others. That's why, when they grow up, they all wish to give back and contribute to society. You don't even know that, and you're in a job that concerns people's lives. Are you even fit to be the president of a medical device manufacturing company? How dare you!
In the next very moment, I was completely drenched. In his excitement, Mr. Thompson had hurled his glass of water at me. A murmur went through the silent tea room. I could see the staff rushing toward us when suddenly a woman dressed well from a nearby table stood up. Just as quickly, she dumped the contents of her glass on Mr. Thompson's head. "Granny?" Mia shouted out. At the same time, Mr. Thompson yelled,
Mom!
I had a feeling something like this might happen, so I came ahead to watch. The woman shrugged as if to say, "What can you do?" and greeted the staff, saying, "Sorry for the disturbance." She took a handkerchief from her bag and handed it to me. "I apologize. We invited you here, and yet you've had this unpleasant experience."
No, It's
all because of this foolish son of mine. That's why I told him he shouldn't come." After wiping the table and chairs with a cloth handed by the staff, she sat next to me. "Let me introduce myself properly. I'm Ava, the chairwoman of Thompson Manufacturers. Maybe it's easier for you if I say Mrs. Longlegs?"
Wait, what?
I was so surprised. I literally jumped out of my seat. The Mrs. Longlegs I had always wanted to meet was the chairwoman of Thompson Manufacturers. With a slight smile, Ava continued, I arranged this matchmaking session. Ava told me that she had always been watching over me. The director of the facility often praised me that not only was I outstanding in my work, but I was also beloved by the young children in the facility and called as the big brother everyone relied on. Hearing about your achievements and hard work as a researcher, I couldn't help but want you to be my granddaughter Mia's husband. As Ava spoke, Mia picked up the conversation. Every time my grandmother talked about you, Jason, I found myself wanting to meet you. That's why I requested this matchmaking session today. The turn of events was unexpected, and I was simply astounded. Mr. Thompson stood there, arms crossed, with a look of displeasure. Please, forgive my foolish son. He was just upset at the idea of losing Mia to you and was being nitpicky. It's embarrassing that he's still so attached to his daughter. Ava sighed. I don't know how to respond. It seemed that Mr. Thompson had insisted on attending the matchmaking session today, even though Ava was supposed to accompany Mia. Ava, anticipating that there might be trouble, had come ahead to watch us. As expected, she witnessed the moment Mr. Thompson threw water at me. What exactly about this wonderful young man do you not like? Ava said in exasperation, to which Mr. Thompson replied in a soft voice.
Because he's amazing. He's everything you said he would be, Mom. His attitude towards Mia is nothing short of gentlemanly, and I can tell he's sharp-witted from the way he speaks. He's even better than I had imagined. That's why I don't like him. I just wanted to find some flaw in him.
His defiant words left the three of us speechless. Even I, who was supposed to be complimented, felt conflicted. As the silence lingered and I felt the urgency to say something, suddenly Mia's laughter echoed in the room. So basically, Dad is jealous of Jason, isn't he? Mia, with tears in her eyes, but still laughing, patted Mr. Thompson's back.
I'm not jealous of a young lad like him.
Mr. Thompson's face turned slightly red as he tried desperately to deny it. Oh, dear. How silly. What a farce. Ava said that, and then she holds my hands apologetically. I'm truly sorry, okay?
Please stop. I should say thank you.
I stood up and held back Ava's hands strongly. Given the gratitude I felt for all I had received, it is hard to express my thanks, but at least the time had come for me to express my gratitude to Mrs. Longlegs. I could feel my entire body trembling slightly.
Considering everything you've done for me, I don't know how to thank you, but I owe my life to you. I'm standing here today because of you. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart.
I couldn't help but let tears flow. I became so embarrassed that I couldn't even lift my face. Then a warm hand touched my shoulder. All of this is the result of your own efforts. You've had a tough life, but you never gave up. I'm proud of you. Ava's words deeply touched my heart. Tears dripped onto the floor. I wiped them away with a handkerchief Ava had given me earlier.
I was also very rude to Mr. Thompson, but I meant what I said. Please, don't be prejudiced against the children in the facility. I know. I purposely said those things to provoke you. I'm sorry.
His last apology was almost inaudible, but I finally felt relieved. I felt like I caught a glimpse of a father's complex feelings. Shall we redo the matchmaking then? There's a wonderful steakhouse in this hotel. Let's all go together. Ava clapped her hands together and stood up. So much had happened so suddenly, I was still in a state of panic, but I followed 3 of them. The restaurant was on the top floor, and the view from the windows was bathed in the colors of the sunset. I'll probably never forget such a beautiful sight in my life. After that, Mia and I began to go on occasional dates. We weren't officially dating yet, but every time I saw her, I couldn't help falling more in love with her. One day, I'll surely confess. I'm determined to, but when I think of Mr. Thompson's face, I can't muster the courage. If he found out that his precious only daughter was with someone like me, wouldn't he cry? Just the thought of it puts me in a complicated state of mind. "What's wrong, Jason?" Mia, who was sipping her tea, asked with a puzzled look. I quickly replied,
"It's nothing."
Seeing Mia's smile, I was reminded once again of how cute she really was. The feeling of wanting to make her happy welled up inside of me, and before I knew it, I had confessed to her. The smile on Mia's face as she blushed and gave a small nod is something I'll probably never forget in my life.